Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so did everybody get a chance to review the minutes from last month? Yes, okay,
Yes.
go ahead. Anybody have any objections or anything to add to the minutes?
Nope,
No.
I think they're good.
Great, so I move to approve the minutes from 6/2 of 2025. Do I have a second?
Second,
Perfect. Okay, minutes for 6/2/2025 have been approved. And bear with me, I'm learning this whole process, everybody. Thank you so much. So we will move to program updates with Stacy.
I actually don't actually think I have any. I think I gave mine last time, but Kim might want to do an introduction.
Yeah, today, is first day for, a new supervisor for our adult in-home team, so I'd like to introduce Caitlin Winter. Caitlin, started
Long time to see
today.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't, Caitlin, if you wanna put you on the spot a little bit and give a brief introduction of who you are and a little history, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so Caitlin Winter, I have been working in the IDD field for upwards of 22 years and many capacities. PSW, direct support staff, residential, employment, case management. I was a personal agent at one point, DSA work. I've kind of had my hands in a little bit of everything throughout the past couple of decades. Recently was with Exceed Enterprises / Albertina Kerr, and have now joined the in-home team here at the county. I'm very excited to work with everybody, learn the ins and outs, and yeah, kind of share my expertise and knowledge and get to know everybody. So
Awesome, yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excited to have Caitlin here.
Caitlin, just for those that don't know, could you explain maybe what in-home means?
Yeah, absolutely. So in-home services are primarily for folks that live either with family or live independently on their own. And then instead of having, your 24-hour residential care, they can access things like attendant care, and still can receive all the same services such as employment and DSA. It's just funding source is a little bit different. But yeah, in-home is primarily for people that are living a little bit more independently in the community without that 24-hour supervision in residential.
Perfect. Thank you.
I don't know. I mean, I realized we met twice this month,
I
right?
know.
So I realized I'd already given my updates and I'd shared QA, but I didn't know if you had anything. And we created the agenda. If you had any other.
I don't think so. I mean, there's a couple of things, but I think until like some things are finalized, I don't know that. That's worth really bringing up until
Yeah.
we have, official things, so. Unless, watch it, because I mean, the licensing things.
We don't meet again. This council doesn't meet again until September.
Oh,
That's
well,
the-
it should.
Yeah, that was my only.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a possibility.
Yeah,
yeah.
Finally.
Yeah, because, so one of the big impacts of this, upcoming, well, this past session, or this soon to be done session, with the, governor's proposed budget and excuse me, and that passed the Ways and Means, and is now, of course, going to the floors for vote. One of the big impacts is going to be that one of the recommendations was to have, foster care licensing, taken from the local level and to be centralized back at the state. And so that would mean, that the work that has been done at the CDDPs, and by CDDP staff, licensing, here at Clackamas County, they're called licensing compliance specialists, would no longer be done here. and it would be centralized at the state. So that would impact us, by removing that work, therefore impacting the employees who would be, who have been doing that work. So that's, 4 licensors and a supervisor, that will be impacted by that. Should that come to pass, it's looking fairly imminent that that is going to be, a thing that will be occurring. So we are, planning with our leadership here at the county, along with, ODDS, to, to transition and to look at what that's gonna look like for, us as the work and what they expect is like,
Mhm.
how that's all gonna be work-wise, plus, really, we have. It's gonna be impactful for not just our 5 employees, but for multiple employees here, So that is pretty heavy on our minds.
Mhm.
But again, I mean, the governor's, it still has to pass on the House and the Senate floor and signed by the governor, but, we haven't seen anything that's gonna indicate that it won't pass, but we still have to wait for the official word.
Who has called for that? How did that, is there like is it an internal push to bring that to the state level? Was there, like, what was the cause, I guess, for the action?
Well, I can speak to what we've been told.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what we've been told, there, at the beginning of every biennium, there's, it's pushed out by the governor that there's always a ask for proposed cut budgets, right?
Mhm.
There's a 5, 10, 15, I mean, there's a proposed cut budget at different levels. And, we've been told that this was one of the proposals that has been put out there more than once and was never, something that previously was ever taken action on, or something that was, that the previous governors have taken up.
Hmm.
This governor, but just that some of her, plans and like, strategies and things that she's prioritized. This fell in line with, basically, I think the centralization, health and safety, making sure that, oversight, centralization and oversight at the state. To try to improve certain things, seemed like it fell in line with that. And they thought, initially we were told it was also a budgetary savings.
Hmm.
And so that's why it was picked up this year. This go around. And has received support. Actually, so.
Yeah. I have so many other questions.
I'm sure we do.
That
Right.
I don't know that I have foundational answers for.
I know, I'm sure, but does anybody else have any questions on the board or on the council? Sarah, your mic is muted.
You asked the question I was wondering basically, cost cutting, or because it seems to me then that time frame gets much longer then. If you don't have, counties doing it themselves, if it's statewide, then it seems like caseloads get bigger, wait times get longer.
Yeah, sure, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the state just had a moratorium put on 24-hour services. Because they had such a backlog and now they're taking on foster care, so I'm not exactly sure. Not exactly sure how it's gonna, but I mean, the other side of that, or not even the other side, something to know in addition is that while a lot of this is happening, they're also putting in place some fairly significant criteria for being able to become providers, and timelines around applications and being able to submit applications to become foster providers, and like expectations around applications, and if they're not like fully complete applications, they can be, you know, turned away or say, you know, not, it's not submitted, so it's not complete. So things that maybe previously were, we at the local level, were doing a lot of supporting and handling and really carrying people through the process. Not gonna happen.
Yeah, I want to make sure that my questions are appropriate for this, for the council, but do you have any idea if this is approved, what the timeline, like when that would become?
January.
It would start in January, okay. Gosh, that's a big one. Yeah. So then the county, I would assume, would lose those employees, or would they be able to move into
So
other
there's a process.
in this? Thank you for that update. If nobody else has any other questions or input, then we'll move on.
I did see, I'm not sure who's on the screen, we have a guest.
Yeah.
Hi.
Did you have a question or you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Rod Smith, and I like to say that started off, I too worked at Exceed Enterprises, and I do remember Caitlin though, she used to have a fantastic hat. She came in every day with her hat on, and it was one of
It's
the
true.
thing. It's the reason I know who her by the face, and I was like, I think I recognize her, and then I see she was out of hat. She looks more, if I may say so, very respectful now. And before we were in the
Thanks,
trenches
Rob.
together, and it was we were just insanely messed up most of the time. And I'm glad that she's in this kind of role, because I do appreciate her input and skill. She has been talked up very highly, and the circles I run. I have a son who's autistic myself, and I have taken up the last year or so working primarily with him. And I'm wanting to sit in and perhaps help with the council if there's ever a spot that opens up. But I was really looking forward to be there today, but my wife has some things going on on the East Coast that's not going to allow her to be the primary parent. So just in case one of my littles come running in behind me, I apologize preemptive. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's good to have you here. I'm glad you joined us.
And we should clarify, just to keep with official business, we do have public comments at the end. So at the end of the 15 minutes, we'll want to make sure that we provide that space. So if you hear things along the way and you want to contribute, if you could just like make a note, and then we'll open up that time, the last 15 minutes, and the floor is yours. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right, next on the agenda is Tracy. Tracy, would you like to kind of introduce yourself, and the floor is yours?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Tracy Garrell. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Social Services for Clackamas County. So I don't know if many of you have ever met Brenda Durbin, but she was the Director of Social Services for about 20 years. And it's a big shoes to fill, right? But so I started about 5 months ago, and I've been trying to coordinate my schedule to come to one of your council meetings, and I hope to come more often to learn from all of you and to be here, because sort of part of your role as an advisory council is to actually advise me. I mean, I'm one of the people that can then take stuff up the chain to the director of our department, Health, Housing, and Human Services, as well as to like county administration. So anyway, I will try to come more often. But today I was asked specifically to talk a little bit about the equity toolkit that Health, Housing, and Human Services has rolled out, and to share it with you for a couple reasons. One, because it's a toolkit that our councils can also use in making decisions. But it's also just important for you all to know that Health, Housing, and Human Services in Clackamas County is committed to maintaining equity, diversity, inclusion, and justice. And we feel like it's really important for our programs and services across the department. And so our work continues, and this is part of the work. We have a strategic plan for our department with just 3 goals. And one of the goal 2 is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that we're looking both externally in terms of how we provide services, as well as internally in terms of how we work with and empower staff as well. So that's what the toolkit. I know Amy's working on slides.
It's not my regular computer, guys.
It's all good. It's all good.
What are you trying to do, Amy?
Well, I'm trying to show it.
I'm wondering if we can see it here, but let's see.
You're probably gonna have to
I think that's it.
go into,
And then if you just kind of click on the next slide when we move along.
it's, can the people on the screen see it?
No,
Yeah.
No, not yet.
No, but I'm trying to stop where it's like showing every word that I'm saying.
Subtitles?
Yeah.
More settings?
This is like when you're watching TV and the closed captions sometimes come on, and yeah, sometimes you want them and sometimes you don't. Yeah. Figure it out. Let's see.
Okay, let's try this. I think this will work.
Share, yes, I think just click on it. Yep. That's it.
there you go. Yep.
Beautiful. I just have a few slides, and I don't know if you all received, or if it was attached to the meeting, but you will all have an opportunity to have a copy of the full toolkit, so you can kind of see the tools, because they're sort of extensive, they're lengthy because it's important to ask a lot of good questions, right? When we're thinking about equity. So just reviewing kind of what the toolkit is. I think I mentioned that, again, it's part of the strategic plan for our department. It's a 3-year strategic plan, and we're in year 2 of this plan. And so there's a lot of initiatives, and this was one of them, is how do we really develop a toolkit so we can make decisions around the services we provide and really everything that we do, right? When we have difficult decisions to make, we want to make sure we're running those questions or through this toolkit. So you can turn to the next slide, and how it applies to all of you on the council is that you also have some decisions to make, or you might, be looking at certain issues and maybe want to advise the county about certain things. And having this toolkit, there may be some tools that are helpful. So again, it's a set of tools to help us deliver high quality, equitable services, and also foster a culture of belonging in our department and in the social services division. I think the biggest piece of using an equity tool is just taking a pause. We're moving so fast. A lot of times we have to make decisions quickly, but if we pause to reflect and think about who might be impacted, who's going to benefit, and who might be harmed by this decision, even if we just ask that one question, we may make a different decision. And we hope that, that it will help us to make a decision that focuses more on equity. And when we think about equity with services, we're also thinking about access, right? Like who has access to our services and who doesn't. So we want to kind of think about our processes and have it be more inclusive, and just think more broadly. And and again, I think, as I mentioned, both internally and externally, But we're bringing this to all of our advisory councils as well, so that all of you can, kind of have this set of tools as well. Okay, next slide. So what it is and what it isn't. So I like to talk about what it is first. Let's be positive. So it's a kind of a framework for thinking about equity and how it applies to our work. It's a set of tools, strategies, practices to operate more equitably in our work. And it's an evolving resource. So that's the other thing, because we developed this internally. We did consult with a lot of other counties to see what they were using. Multnomah County has done a lot of work in this area. They have a very complicated equity lens. I like it, but it definitely is more complicated. Lane County, I believe, is kind of where we kind of picked up. Lane County had a more simple tool, and we thought that might work better initially for us. So we kind of adopted sort of different tools from different, why sort of recreate the work when, tools are working. And it's really nice that counties are willing to share with one another this work. So it's evolving. So I also want to just invite you, if you see something and you're like, well, that's strange, or why are you using it this way? Or, whatever it might be, giving that feedback. I used the budget tool, which we'll talk about, and I didn't think it was great. So, I'm hoping to give some additional feedback as we sort of move into budget season next year. And can we look at this and maybe make it a little more applicable to what we're doing? So, what it isn't is it's not, and this is really important, it's not just a process that checks the box. Sometimes it's like, okay, we did this one thing, and now we can say that we did something that was, we have diversity on our committee, or, or whatever it might be. So it's really to help us think much deeper than just checking a box. It's definitely not a one size fits all. It's not going to solve all of our equity dilemmas. And it's not something we do without considering the context, the people we're serving, right? We really have to always be using it within the context. So part of the toolkit, I think that's in the toolkit as well, but just lifted that from there as a kind of thing to highlight. Next slide. And then you've probably seen various slides or various photos, and there's a lot of different ways that the difference between equality and equity is demonstrated. And this is some images that I think resonated with the folks who put this toolkit together. But I like this one because you just look at, this is just simply kind of crossing like a curb and crossing the street, and you have, equalities. Everyone gets the same, regardless if it's needed or right for them. So you can see, various people might have different needs, but everybody gets the same curb, the same signage. That's just what it is. And then if you look at the equity, everyone gets what they need, understanding the barriers, circumstances, and conditions. So, there's a curb cut, there's volume, there's visuals, there's, different aids and implements to help different people cross the street safely. So that's part of the image when we think about, so when we think about equity toolkit, we're striving for the blue picture is, again, not one size fits all, but how do we make sure that everybody gets what they need? And then these are the tools that are in the toolkit, and you will have time to maybe review it, but there's a basic equity lens tool, which I'm going to go over because that's kind of the basic. We have a hiring manager checklist. So that's really more of an internal process, but it's important for us to think about when we're hiring staff, that are we, doing it in an equitable process. So we also have a policy that was put together maybe about a year ago that also aligns with that checklist. That really is like, pause, think about our process. We want to make sure we're having an equitable hiring process. There's that policy and procedure development tool. So again, anytime we put a policy or even a process together, just take a minute and pause and ask these questions. And again, some of them have a lot of questions, like, a lot of questions to ask, like the policy and procedure development tool has just 6 questions, but it might even go on. Yeah, 6 questions. So 6 questions to ask before you develop a policy or procedure. I think it's worth it to take a moment and just think about it, right? Before we're saying this is how we want everyone to operate. So we're gonna take a minute and just ask those questions, and maybe we need to make some changes or think about it. Planning, so for new programs, services, and projects, so we also have a planning tool, so I love that. As we're designing something new, maybe we get a new grant or some funding comes into the county, or you know, somebody has an idea for a project, you know, again, we have an opportunity to ask some questions and run it through that equity tool. We have one for event planning. So as we're planning events, it's a, you know, great tool to use. We're planning an all staff meeting. I have not used it yet, I'll be honest. So I'm committing to all of you, we're gonna use the event planning tool, because, and that's what can happen, so that's the thing. Toolkit, put it on the shelf, right, and so you've got it, you really have to use it and commit to use it, so I'm committing, you can check with me next time. Did you use it for the all staff? But yeah, you definitely need to use that. So, and then there's the equity budget decision tool, which I think I told you that I did use in some of our budgeting processes, if we wanted to add any positions or eliminate any positions in the budget process, we had to answer the questions. And I thought that was a good idea and a good process. I think the tool, you know, could have some modifications, but that's okay, because it's a work in progress. So those are the tools that we have now. And I'm thinking for this group, you know, like, you know, thinking about the basic equity lens would be a tool that would be helpful. Thinking about the event planning could be helpful, maybe a new program, you know, project if you're consulting on that. So anyway, lots of opportunities to think about it. So here's the basic equity lens tool. And I appreciate that Clackamas County Health, Housing and Human Services said, let's make it really simple. So 3 questions. So this one can be used broadly for anything. So again, we're trying to build equity mindedness for day-to-day decisions and build capacity for deeper equity work. So these are the 3 questions. And I mean, if you do nothing else, if you decide I'm not going to do any of these other tools, just asking these questions. So 1, who needs to be involved in the decision-making process? What barriers prevent community members from accessing essential resources and services, and how are you addressing them? And then what potential unintended outcomes, particularly in historically excluded communities, have you identified? And if you've identified them, how will you address them? And what lessons will you apply to future situations? So again, it's just a basic tool to be thinking through decisions that are being made. So. And you know, when people, I know this just happens when we're moving quickly. Sometimes decisions have to be made really quickly. But if you can just pause and quickly ask yourself, who needs to be involved? What barriers are there? And are there any potential unintended outcomes? Even if you know, you're gonna at least probably make a better decision than if you didn't ask those 3 questions. So that's basically it. I mean, there's a lot more to go into, but I just wanted to give you kind of an introduction to the toolkit, and again, also just really reassert our commitment to continue to use these tools and continue to do this important work in our community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing it. And so that you know, we did get a full copy of it. So every council member has a full copy in their email to review. But yes, thank you. We really appreciate you being here. Yeah, sharing that.
Thank you. And if you have any feedback, if you read through it and you're like, this, you know, this doesn't fit for me well, or we're missing something, or, I mean, honestly, I'm on the goal-to committee that, even though I didn't create this tool, I'm on that committee that's now, you know, in our department that's working on it. So I have direct access to the writers of this tool and be happy to bring your feedback. So please do let us know if you look through it and you're like, you know, that policy development tool is missing a key question, or please let me know.
I was going to share for council members, one area with, you know, with starting kind of our QA unit in the DD program, we are going to start utilizing that tool, the policy development tool. And so our first meeting is scheduled for the end of July, and we're going to test out test out the toolkit. So we'll definitely be letting you know.
Good.
Letting you know how it goes, because that's kind of, I think, the first place we're gonna be really implementing it on like a regular basis. So anytime we go to look at policies and procedures and basically anything we do in that group, we're gonna be using the toolkit. So
Fantastic.
we'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, it's great.
I can see how it would be really important too with policy and procedures.
Yes.
So. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything about the toolkit? No? All right. Well, Tracy, thank you so much. And we hope to see you
Yeah,
at every meeting that you can make.
I'm staying, so for the rest of the meeting, so just. But yes, thank you. I will definitely try to, so every once in a while it conflicts with another meeting that I have, but when I can come and love to be here.
Definitely. All right, resource fair recap.
Yeah, originally this was on here to give a planning update, but then we've discovered that actually this is gonna be post-fair.
Yes.
I'll open it up to, I mean, we had, Bruce isn't here, but Bruce was there, Anne came by, you worked and Chris was there, I mean, so.
Colleen came back. She's not here
Colleen, yeah,
today, but
Colleen did come by, yeah. So do you guys wanna start?
I mean, so I was there as a vendor. I thought it went really well. I wasn't there last year, so I don't know how to compare it, but we had pretty steady traffic. There was like one little bit of a lull, but it gave us time to go grab something to eat and do all that. But there was lots of questions and people came by and very interactive. So we were happy with it. Yeah.
I was impressed. I hadn't been to one before in many years. And so I was just impressed at how many agencies were there and how many different kinds of programming is out there and available. And just it seemed like everybody was willing to talk and share. The kids who came got a ton of fun fidgets and things to take home with them. And, it just seemed like everybody was just so interested in each person that was at their booth that, a lot of times you go to those things and people are just kind of talking to each other and hanging out. But this time it felt like everybody was interested in who I was, and I didn't have Wally with me, but, it was a very impressive group and just well put together, well put on, well covered. I was impressed to be part of it.
It's actually really good feedback. And
Yeah.
I feel the same way. This was my second year being able to be there. And I felt like it went really well this year too, just like last year. You had the rain to deal with, but that was overcome and people still came and it is really inviting. Actually, Anne, thank you for saying that, because everybody is just so happy to talk to and invite and help. And one thing that I pulled away from it, well, one of the things is that sometimes a lot of family members come in and they don't know what to do and they are really struggling, and just to be pointed in the right direction to connect with somebody was huge. And so I had that interaction, I was sitting at the council booth, but they just happened to be the people who came up and needed help. And luckily it was just the table next to us is where they needed to go. But it was really neat to see that they came in for resources, they got connected with the right people, and that's the whole point. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. So.
Yeah, so I think for those of you that weren't around last year, this is our second year. So we started this last year. And we kind of decided it was part of our service equity plan. We wanted to reach out to the community and provide resources. And so so I think we had a lot of interest this year as far as community providers. I think we had about 54 going into it. We had some no-show. I think the weather kind of turned some people off, but I also kind of wonder if it gave them something to do instead of going outside. So I think it was kind of a wash there, but yeah, I had the same feeling. People like the community partners who hosted tables really wanted to be there and were excited and engaged, which was awesome. And then we had a pretty steady flow of traffic. I think we counted just about 200. I think is what we counted at. And we were about the same last year. So I think obviously there's always like improvements to be made and ways that we can like reach out to people better. Some of the things that we did do better, I think this year, last year we were only able to reach a few of the libraries to let them know about the event. And this year we were able to reach all, I think there's 7 in Clackamas County, and some are like as far out as like almost on the mountain, which is wild to think about, but it's still Clackamas County. So we really made an effort to get out to even the very rural communities, because those are often who gets left behind, right? So we did that, and then we were able to get the flyer in Spanish and in Russian and Ukrainian. Did I get that right? I think that was the other 2 language. So, and then we reached out to a couple of organizations to see if they wanted to just invite them to the fair. So, always a lot of room for improvement, but I think all things considered, we had another great fair. Seems like people had a great time. So yeah, I would say we're.
And I'm sure this is no surprise to the council, but the success of this fair is a lot on Amy's shoulders. I mean,
Oh,
she doesn't
I just
like
showed
to
up.
take the
I just
credit.
showed
She spends months planning and organizing and keeps us all on track, and that she doesn't like to take all the credit for it, but yeah, she does an amazing job, and it's a huge thanks to her that this fair is successful, because honestly, Kim and I were not able to, we participated the first year a lot, and we just weren't able to be at all the meetings this time, but clearly that didn't matter.
I
Yeah.
have a lot of support.
Yes, you did, but
A lot
also
of great
it's
people.
the organization and keeping things
Yeah.
on track that is what makes these events successful, and yeah, so big, huge thank you to Amy.
Definitely.
And I mean, just being there, I talked to pretty much every vendor that was there. And they were appreciative for the opportunity. They were thankful. They were just, thank you so much for making this making this available so that we can do this. Thankful for the food. And just like feeling appreciated. That, I mean, I think some of that came right out of our the work being done with provider engagement.
I agree.
And just again, I think it went a long way to show that we do appreciate the providers in our community. And we saw even more this year of our residential providers coming and looking at the resources that were being provided by the other types of providers in the community. So bringing individuals from their homes to group homes, foster homes, coming out and bringing individuals from their homes and checking out other providers and other services. So that was pretty cool as well. So I think it's going a long way to just continue to build the community and community engagement. So that made me happy when I was like, every single one of them were just happy and so happy to be there and so appreciative and connecting with one another. Even the different providers that were sharing tables, like they were sharing tables, and
Our advisory council shared with public health.
I know.
And we honestly had a good representation of Clackamas County Social Services, I thought, and people have ideas on how they want to collaborate with us in different ways too. And I thought,
exactly.
we haven't shared it with you yet, but I thought like
I'm
Tracy and Mary are gonna want to hear about this, and so even internal collaboration is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Collaboration with our community paramedic also, and just other,
Community
lots of
support,
ideas.
housing,
So it's great.
Yeah.
To that, there was also a couple of vendors that were interested on maybe being guests at future council meetings.
Oh,
And so I took a couple business cards just in case. But I know we tried to like bring in some community partners to kind of be guests on our council. So that was interesting to see some interest in that as well. But I know it's so neat. I mean, I've been in the field for over 20 years and I haven't every year in these last 2 years, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this company. I didn't even know. Like, there's a lot of times I walk around, I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that. never heard of them, so it's really neat.
I will say was when I was doing, like trying to figure out who was going to host tables, there were a lot of, I think coming out of the pandemic, we forget, like, it feels like a long time ago, but it also wasn't really that long ago. And agencies are still getting staffed up to provide
Yeah.
resources to people. And so there were quite a few agencies that were like, we're staffed up, we're ready to go, our services, we have everything back, we'd love to host a table. So that was really cool because last year, it's even still 2024 wasn't quite the case. Like people hadn't, hadn't recouped from the pandemic. And so this year people were like, we're ready, we're taking clients, we want to see people, like we have services available. So that was kind of neat too.
Yeah, it definitely took the legs out from underneath a lot of people. Takes a lot. Yeah. Then I definitely feel like it was a success. I thought was good about it.
We had a lot of parents that came by because we talked about our support group that we do monthly, and so a lot of people were just, I mean, and the girl that I was with, Cheryl, were kind of huggy and cry a lot too. So, a lot of hugging and crying. Like I get it. So I think we'll have more people come out. I never ran a support group before, so I didn't really know what to expect. And I have a sister that she's a retired therapist now, but she's like, well, so about 6 to 8 people, and I'm like, oh. She goes, well, how many people? I'm like, I don't know, 15, 20. I go, I don't know. so
My person needs more.
yeah. But yeah, so that it was good to let people know that, other parents were walking the same journey and get it.
Yeah, it was a great event. Looking forward to next year already.
I only kind of peeked at at some of the feedback today. I wasn't quite ready this morning to look at all of it. But from what I saw, it was mostly really positive. So we'll have a meeting probably in a couple weeks from now to do like a recap of like what went well, what do we need to work on or look out for next year, things like that. So if anybody wants to go to that meeting, just let me know when I can put you on the invite.
I only heard one negative feedback, and that was we need to advertise more.
Oh,
because
yes.
The person didn't know about it, found out about it from wherever they work or whatever. And I was like,
We did a lot more this year, but I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll do better.
I'll be on your team.
No, great.
Nice.
I'm gonna remember that, Ann.
I'm gonna write that down. All right, well, we're a little bit behind schedule, so we're gonna kind of keep going. The next item is the bylaws, the first sentence review. So do we have those? Do we have it? Well, we can put up, I have it on my phone as well. So the reason that we're bringing this up is just to make sure that it reads well. That's the reason for the review.
And also, I tried to take the first sentence of the bylaws and describe what this council does for the volunteer appreciation event, and Amy was filling out the information. And no way could we have put that sentence in that describes what the council does. So we were like, oh, well, this could be confusing for new members or other. So I think what you saw was just an edited suggestion to get through the appreciation event. But that's also why is like we were actually asked to write a couple sentences and we were just going to go to the bylaws and say, oh, we already did this. And then that sentence, no one would have known what you did by reading the sentence. So that's sort of where this came from.
Let me see if I can pull this up.
I was gonna say, I can read it too. I know that sometimes it's easy to
Yeah.
read along, but.
Yeah,
You
you
want me
can
to just
read it and
read
I'll
it?
try pulling it up while you're doing that, if that works.
Okay, what was approved already, I'll go ahead and just read it. It says, the Clackamas County Developmental Disabilities Council strives to perform outreach to the public to provide support and highlight community choices that are person-centered, diverse, and empowering, with support for an individual or group of individuals with disabilities, as well as their families and caregivers. Clackamas Developmental Disabilities Council's mission is to hold those who provide services in the county accountable to the public, to taxpayers, and most of all, to end users of those services. And then, Amy, I don't know if you wanted me to share what your suggestion was.
It was just, yeah, I'm gonna try and share a screen with you guys in just a second if I can get this small enough. And it just wasn't an option. Like Stacy said, we were having to write that sentence.
Yeah,
Um,
in like a couple minutes. they
yeah, so
turned
it was very quick, so seriously, by any, like, it's just a different option, that's all, not a suggestion really by any means.
So I'll go ahead and
Can you guys see
read.
that okay? Do you see like I just copied it. from the email.
I just say.
I said we were going for plain language too.
So yeah, the top one is is already approved in the bylaws draft.
Mhm.
And then there is just another draft option at the bottom.
And I'll go ahead and just read that out loud as well. So one option would be the Clackamas County Developmental Disabilities Advisory Council is a group of volunteers with diverse perspectives who advise Clackamas County leadership on community needs, prioritizes for service delivery and quality assurance activities. The mission of this council is to hold those who provide services in the county accountable to the public, to the taxpayers, and most of all, to the individuals in services.
I like that one better.
Yeah, I do too. It reads better.
Okay.
It's clear.
Mhm.
Now,
So,
John does have some
I was
concerns
just-
that he shared.
yeah, so I wanted to just read, which I think is okay to read the email that John had sent. So he said, he asked what would be needed to be changed. Tell me if I remember right. We kept outreach language in one of our important decisions. And as I remember, the last Clackamas County Developmental Disability Director mentioning this very important language within our conversation as an advisory council when she came. So, and I think that was the main point of what his concern was with that. So I just want to state that.
What did you read it like we were missing the outreach portion of
In
the
there.
purpose of the council?
Yeah.
Or more if, just to make sure we didn't miss that, because he was also asking what would be needing to be changed. And so I think he was trying to gain some understanding and then point out we needed to keep that in there.
It's still in the mission and vision, right? Thanks, there's a longer version of a mission statement, right, that this council adopted. I remember there were two versions. One was more accessible than the other.
Mhm.
If I remember correct, and I think
You're
the
right.
outreach might already be in that, so I think that still,
Right.
the council still has that. This is simply the intro to the
To the bylaws.
bylaws, explaining what the council does.
So it's not part of yeah.
I mean,
so
it
the outreach will be in the
captures the mission, but there's more within that
Yeah.
statement that the council adopted a while back. We could find that. I just wonder if he thinks we're replacing that, was my thought in his response. If he thinks we got rid of that piece,
Oh. And it's hard to know because he's not here today. So. So what, as a council, how do you guys feel about this? Any
It's like
opinions?
number two, the best. I feel like even though the outreach is a piece of it, it's not the primary leading piece to me so far in just the short time I've been a member. It feels like we've been focused more on process than we have been on outreach, even though we just had the biggest outreach event.
Okay. Thank you for that, Anne. Sarah, do you have any opinion on it?
I just think it reads better. I think it's clearer. I think that to assuage John's concern, if outreach is in the mission statement, then I think we're good.
Can we confirm that?
Yeah, I was just looking, I don't know if I can pull it up for everybody, but so that was like the first sentence. The very sentence after it says, the purpose of the DD Council is to advise the community DD program, CDDP, on community needs, assist in outreach efforts, review quality assurance activities, and
Okay.
assist in promoting service equity for all individuals needing services as described in the CDDP's management plan.
So then it is in there.
Which we don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
We probably will, because there's not a requirement to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to wait until September.
Yeah, yeah.
When the new contract is, right, it's taken out of the
It's
contract.
out of the contract in September, so we can always adjust in September.
In September, okay. Make a note really quick.
Our next meeting's in September.
It is. So I'm gonna jot that in my notes. Chris, did you have any?
I think the second one also reads clearer, and so since we mentioned the outreach in the very next paragraph, right?
Mhm.
I think it's good.
We're covering it, okay. So then if everybody is comfortable with how it reads, I would propose that we move to approve the second option. Which, the second option to the first sentence of the bylaws. Do I have anybody that is seconds that?
I'll
motion?
second.
Okay. And then we have to vote. Okay, so all in favor, so how are we doing it before? Yays, just raise your hand.
If you could just, if you agree, then raise your hand.
Yeah, so yays to approve it, raise your hand.
1, 2, 3, 4, that's all of you.
Unanimous, so it is approved. So the second option, perfect,
Okay,
great.
Names? No.
Any nays? There's only 4 of us at quorum, so. Take skip, just in case, no nays, perfect, okay. So we're good? All right, great, so Sarah, you are up with the abuse letter.
Mine's going to be very short because
Perfect.
I've had a really, just personal reasons, I've had a really, really tough month and I have not moved very far forward on this. So I have Stacy's email that I know was sent to Sarah, you, and to Chris, and the response from the PGA. And so all I've done so far is add the contact information for Mary Rumbaugh, Cheryl Ramirez, and Tracy. And then I sent it to Lisa Ledson, because she was instrumental in kind of taking the original draft, and I just think she did a great job she ended up writing most of the final draft that got approved. So my question is, does the letter going to each person need to be, for want of a better word, tweaked in any way, changed in any way, or am I just sending the letter as is to each person? And that's one thing. And then the other thing is just email or snail mail or both.
Were you changing the introduction, Sarah?
All I did was I added the contact
The
information. I just
contact,
said,
okay.
dear executive director, and then but I didn't know if we wanted to change the introduction so I'm sorry, I haven't gotten any further than
That's
that.
okay.
Anybody have an opinion?
I don't know that we would need to, would we?
I
I
don't,
mean, if it's, I don't know.
if it's just the introduction.
I might have an opinion,
Yes.
since I'm receiving it. No, I
Right,
think,
good.
I think it might be good as an email, because I think generally, like, I think about Cheryl and Mary and myself, like, I have a mail folder somewhere downstairs that I check every few weeks, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so I think but I think email people would get it right away.
Okay.
So I probably recommend that. It's sort of like, I mean, even if it's, however you want it, it could be even a letter attachment, or it could be just the body of an email, however you decide. But I think email will get to the various people more quickly and they're more likely to respond. And then the question is, if you want it, you could send it to all three people together, or you could send it separate. I mean, people know like who got it kind of thing too. So that's an option.
Right.
as well.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
It's kind of nice because I know like Mary and Cheryl work really closely together. I work closely with Mary. So it may not be a bad idea to, kind of send it to everybody via email, but y'all can do, if you want to do it in a different format, that's fine, but I think that might be the quickest way to get it, and it probably will most likely be read and acknowledged.
Okay. Okay, then I'm ready to send it as long as the council approves. And this would be the council approving the final draft of the letter that we discussed before, and then just adding the contact information, and that's it. Or actually I would take that out if I'm sending it to all three together. So I can send it off to you guys once I get that done. Then the question that maybe Tracy, you can answer, or Stacy, is, obviously we want this to be a statewide registry. So at what point, so we send it to our contact people recommended by PGA, and then what happens next after that? In other words, is it approved by these particular people? And then can we assume then that it's ready to be sent out to other councils, or?
Well, I'll say Cheryl is statewide.
Oh, okay.
Is a statewide organization. So while Mary's the president of that organization now. So I feel like, and I'm probably not even as essential, honestly, as the two of them in terms of getting it
I
out.
think ultimately, I think what it's gonna come down to though is, it's gonna be a matter of, I think the question is representation, and is this something that Mary and Clackamas County is going to support putting forward as represented from Clackamas County's Developmental Disabilities Council, right? They're sending it to, per our policy, right? They're sending it to the leadership via the letter, right? They're sending it to you and to Mary, and I guess to Cheryl. I don't know for sure how Cheryl got in there, but with the information and the request, or the desire to see this registry developed, and why, and then if this is something that everybody's like, yes, we support this advocacy and we feel like this is something that could be put forward, then I think it would be them communicating back to say, we have questions, we want to hear more, whatever, or this isn't something that we're willing to get behind, and so this is our response, this is why we would not do this, or that's what I would anticipate, is that there would be a response of one way or another. Either, yes, we support this, and therefore this would be the next steps.
Okay.
Or we don't know, we'd like more information.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
Mhm.
I mean, it might be better to go Mary and Tracy first with, and then with the request to move it forward, and then Mary she wears two hats.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking we could, let's do it all at once, but maybe that's it follows the process of the advisory council better to go Mary and Tracy, Clackamas County, but then with the request to, we would like to move this forward, and then I can talk to Mary about the possibility of sharing it with Cheryl and the association. Of county mental health programs, so that it sort of then gets a broader look at, and then there's, from that angle as well.
Right. Because that's where it would gain movement, and if it was gonna get pushed forward for some type of consideration for who do we get this in front of to get it
right.
But if it's not something that Mary's willing to get behind, or feels like it's something that she wants Clackamas County or HRS, because it's probably got more than just her to go through, possibly.
Okay. And then if I just include a sentence that basically it says we would like to move this forward. And I think we welcome any suggestions, comments, or questions that you might have. And then would I have them direct that to me and then I can present those to the council?
That's up to you guys.
Okay, with you guys?
Welcome them to come back to this council and
Yeah.
ask the questions, since you all
Mhm.
had input,
Mhm.
may invite them to a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or send their questions back. to the
Okay.
council.
I think getting just an initial response to see, you know, the feedback, and if they want some more input, then maybe coming to a council, meeting would be good. I think just seeing kind of where it lands and have them, reply, Sarah, to you, and if you want to CC, me in it or anybody else, that's
Okay.
fine, feel free to do that, just so
Okay.
that it's not just you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. I'm recovering, so I will get on this. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. I really appreciate it.
So do we need to vote on any of this, or since we've already
Doesn't sound
approved
like
it?
it's changing.
Not
so,
really changing
yeah.
anything. Okay, perfect. So just an update and clarity.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah. for
Thank you.
taking the
Thank
time.
you. And thank you, everybody, for your input.
For sure, definitely. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay, we are running out of time. So we have about 3 minutes before open for, oh my gosh, we didn't get to point
Yeah.
click care.
I
or
wonder
volunteer
if
appreciation.
maybe we hold off on point click care. I think it's a conversation that we do need to have, but maybe before September, we can come up with some materials for the
Yeah.
council to
Yes.
read.
Yeah.
So they have, Kim is essentially an expert, but it would be better to also have something to read on it.
Get that in a note.
Yeah. She's just done a lot of work and been in a lot of meetings, and so she has the best knowledge on the subject, for all the people that are in the room.
Yeah.
Also maybe that, but maybe by next
Yeah.
meeting, we
No,
can
for
have
sure.
some materials for the council to review, so we can have a better conversation about what that looks like for our program.
Perfect. So is everybody okay with moving the point click care discussion to our September meeting?
And I can definitely try and get
Yeah.
some information about it out to you, so you have a little bit of time, because it is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like an easy concept to wrap your head
Yeah.
around. But it's a system.
Yeah.
That's out there. So.
Mhm.
And it's definitely something that's hugely impactful and because the community needs to be aware of it and how it impacts them. And I definitely, it's gonna take a bit of
In
time.
a clear and transparent way,
There's
Yeah.
gonna be lots of questions and it's gonna take probably a whole
meeting for sure.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We don't need to vote to move that to the September?
Nope.
No, perfect. Okay, so
Anne has a question.
I just had a
Thank you.
question. Is it September 29th or the 22nd? Because there's 5 Mondays in September.
I think it's the fourth one, but let me double check myself before I.
Okay.
I have it in here.
It should be the 22nd
It
if
is.
there's 4,
It's the 22nd.
right?
22nd, okay.
Yeah.
I
Thank
wrote
you.
it in my calendar, yes.
I put last Monday of the month and then I realized there's 5 and maybe that's not true, so I wanted to make sure.
All right, so now the
Good catch.
volunteer appreciation events, we try to squeeze that in there really fast.
Yeah, I think I don't know if anybody on the screen is going, but they want you to RSVP if you are. If you're not, totally fine, but I think the planning staff have put a lot of time and effort into it, so they'd love to know if you're gonna join.
I RSVP'd, so I plan on going. You did too? Perfect,
I'll be
okay,
there.
good. Yay,
Yeah.
great. So if anybody else
yeah.
wants to come,
be able to come.
I won't be there, I'm out of town, but
I'll be there.
I wish I could be there.
I'm sad
Dang
I
it.
won't be there, but I'm glad you're going. I'm glad there will be people there.
yeah. Okay, well, so that leaves us to open for and public comment. And since we do have a guest, so I'd like to open up the floor for any public comment.
And you don't have to have any if you don't.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
thank you, guys. I've been wondering, I've listened to your discussion and how you guys want to be, your mission statement, so to speak. And I was wondering, do you guys connect yourself with the 211 outreach? Because that's something that each county is supposed to have. And as I went to it myself here, I can't find a lot of resources that connect to Clackamas County or even Multnomah County. Like, for instance, my son has autism, and when I click on there trying to find any outreach within the autism disorders in the 211, it's a dead link. They said there's nothing available within 50 miles. I was kind of curious, is this council meeting going to be something that we can utilize the 211? There's a lot that we could be placing in there because it feels like it's a ghost town, a dead link. And it's supposed to be something we are supposed to utilize. And a lot of the questions I come about is saying that these materials are already at hand, and we're not trying to implement them within the existing framework we have around us. So it's like old lattice work sitting behind us, but we could really be using it. I mean, I have been alt-tabbing, trying to be making sure I wasn't making too much of a fool of myself, to say this out loud. But a lot of the links you click on just go nowhere. And it seems that you guys are talking about these issues and you're talking about these problems, but how come they're not implemented on the site? Well, you're supposed to, it's supposed to be yours to use, especially for the outreach that we're supposed to have for disabled peoples and the rest of our communities. It seems kind of like a small disconnect. Is it just me, or is that there's something else that you guys use that's not being implemented with the 211 program?
Well, 211 is a place we go for resource. Like, we also use it for certain resources, so they aren't necessarily specific to developmental disabilities, and we don't manage the site. I mean, we have, our information should be on there, but we don't like manage the site to put resources there. A lot of, I mean, I would say if you're talking about resources specific for autism and you have somebody being supported by our program, your service coordinator is the connection to those resources, and we have internal resources, I guess, unless I'm not understanding your ask.
That, to be honest, that was for
okay.
instance, it's like one of the tools. Let's say I'm having a housing crisis, or there's an emergency, and 211 is supposed to be one of those safety nets that helps. A lot of the things you guys are talking about fits very well with what 211 was supposed to be. And it feels like that they haven't, and I looked up who's supposed to have the ability to contribute to the 211 system. And this is within the wheelhouse of the county itself. I try to find it very specifics, but it kind of modulates from, please.
211 is their own entity.
Well, I was just
correct?
looking on the website, and it
Yeah.
does, to your point, there's not a specific place that says, there's a whole lot of places where you can get help. Mental and behavioral health, utility assistance, but there's nothing for developmental or intellectual disabilities. It might be a little, it's hard to see my screen, but they have a whole bunch of little icons for everything else. But you're right,
Did you click diverse populations?
I didn't click
I just
there.
clicked youth and there wasn't anything specific.
I did
Mental health.
look through like childcare and parenting, and then you can kind of get through there, but you do have to go through there quite a
We
bit.
update.
Well, even the LGBTQ 2+, it sends you to the Spanish consulate. And I'm sorry, I don't think that's where all people who are LGBTQ and 2+ is supposed to go. It really feels like it's a disconnect between the tools we have and the tools we're allowed to use. And a lot, the layman would know 211 immediately. And the other ideas that you have, and they're great. I've been sitting here being wowed, but I didn't know they even existed. Now, in a lot of the instances, using 211 is something the layman uses to navigate a lot of the social services that the county or the state would offer. And if this is not being used anymore, why does it state that you have control of it? Is this a disconnect between the federal and the state, or the state and the county? And I'm just trying to be innocent here. It's just a question that I've been worrying about since this is kind of in the wheelhouse of this committee.
I think it's a push for us, just because it's not managed. And I think you would have to have somebody who was constantly managing the agencies that are available where you could go to get this service. It really would be better directed to your personal case manager or to DD services for the assessment or the application process. I think that is where the 211 should take you. And then from there, you could learn what there is available. But with us, we don't have the resource or the time to put, I mean, there's thousands of opportunities there to put things on, but somebody has to manage that. It would just be a constant moving target, I think. That's just my feeling. This team is really looking at some big picture things that we can have an impact on and that we can move things through, but not everything. It's impossible to form a committee and be able to manage everything about autism or about a developmental disability or about where you should go. I agree with you as a parent. Man, it'd be great if we could pull a number and say, having problems with, getting medication and having that go to somewhere that can help me. But I don't know that the 211 system is that advanced to be able to help us individually, even as a parent, to say, I'm stressed out, I need help with something. It doesn't take you there. But I don't know that this committee is the right place to go to if you were having that kind of a challenge or any kind of a challenge.
I totally agree with you on that. But my question is I thought that this was some place where we can bring up these issues to our state and county governments and asking how do they want to do it. Because honestly, this is, we can't make a proclamation and expect it to be done immediately. It still has to go through committee. So the question I'm asking is, why is this thing that's not a nebulous thing that most people do understand is supposed to exist, not being utilized? I mean, we could even put literally these outings and meetings that you guys have, these large groups show up. This should be on our county site connected to the 211, allowing the individuals to come and say, oh my goodness, hey, I just had a question about, my son who, it has to go on wheelchairs now, or my parent who no longer can get around with themselves. And it feels like when you're in a panic mode, you're not looking to find the answers from every logical step, but you do go into 911 if you're in an emergency, and 211 was supposed to be connected to you that way too. And I may be totally out of line, but I thought that we start the ruckus and the fire goes uphill, kind of saying, hey, why is this not being utilized? Just a simple question like that could probably bear some sort of fruit. And I was looking at it and listening to you and and I was like, this sounds like the committee for 211. Why hasn't this been connected together? Is this like a mental disconnect between me and what this group was supposed to be? Something that can connect us with what services we need. Excuse me if I talked out of tone as well.
No, you're fine, absolutely fine.
No, and we appreciate your concern and your input, and we are, the advisory council to the county, so you bring out the concerns is definitely what we're here for, and I don't have any answers. But I mean, and I'm not super familiar with 211, so I probably wouldn't be the best person, but I do appreciate you coming and sharing that information and,
I mean, I think
Well, it would be interesting to learn where's the oversight for the information that's put on there.
Yeah.
Who is responsible? Is there anyone on staff? Is there anyone who's in charge of making sure it's up to date, that links aren't going nowhere or to crazy places that they're not connected to whatever the information is supposed to be about? My previous job was at a church. We would have people call and ask for services to prevent homelessness. And we'd sell them 211. And then finally, one time I was like, what is this? I started looking and I was not impressed with the information that people were supposed to be getting if they contacted 211. So, yeah, I agree. It's a concern. I don't think it's, under the purview of this council. However, it would be interesting to know, has the person who set it up, are they gone? Is it just not, is there no funding to staff, people to keep it up to date? There are a lot of questions I think that could be asked about that.
I totally agree with you. That is exactly, most of what I find online says the county's supposed to take about it. And when you try to find it, it's like chasing a tiger's tail.
Mhm.
And when I was listening and talking to people, they were sending me to this council saying, hey, these people are the ones who are the movers and shakers that make things happen when it comes to, if you have disabilities or someone who's sick. So even an emergency, a lot of the times the events fall on your lap.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe they would have the answer because it seems like this really needs an overhaul. And
Mhm.
it says county, as in the county is supposed to have it.
Mhm.
And if I would hate to think that a bureaucrat somewhere within the county has all the power and he or she doesn't know it.
No.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
me. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you shouldn't be offering it as a resource if it's not rich enough and valid enough anymore. You shouldn't be sending to people to dead-ended information.
It's
And to
frustrating.
me,
It's very
and to
frustrating.
me, what I take away from that also is that if that is where your case manager is sending you for resources,
Oh.
then I would highly encourage you to loop back to say that was not an effective, because also we would expect our case managers to vet some of what they're sending out to people. Or if you're looking for a housing resource, there's gonna be more options than what are on 211. And really, that is the function of a case manager or a service
Mhm.
coordinator to help with those resources and guide you to those things. And sometimes it also includes vetting what we're providing you. And so if
Mhm. For
211
sure.
is the only resource and it's sending you to a dead end every time, I think we do want to
Yeah.
know about those things.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to be honest, my wife and I have we've had our ups and downs, especially trying to work with a disabled son and make a living. And when we've reached out, case managers and stuff have sent us to 211. Just
Mm.
we don't know, just go to 211, and you're like, is
That's
that
what we want to know.
yeah, and
Exactly
a
what we
lot
want
of
to
the
know.
times. A lot of times
Yeah.
that's so frustrating because I like to think that we have more options than sending me to a dead link so you can
Right.
get me off the phone
I would like
and that
to
way you
agree
can
with
get to the
you.
next one.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
do have more options.
And thank you very much for allowing me to have this
Thank
moment.
you.
Thank
That was
you.
a great
Thanks for
question.
sharing.
Thank you.
For that.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Rod.
Yes, thank you for coming and sharing, definitely.
Alright.
All right, did we lose Anne?
I think we lost
I
Dan.
think we did. Okay, well, it is 6 o'clock. So with that, thank you, everybody, for your input and your work and for having grace with me on my first chair
You did a
job.
great
So-
job, Sarah. Good job.
Great meeting.
So with that, I move to adjourn the meeting for today. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, perfect. Then we are adjourned.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
See you in September.
Thank you again.
Enjoy the summer.
Yes.